Good evening. Would like to welcome everyone here to the January meeting of the Hartsville-Trousdale County Planning Commission. Shutter, would you please call the roll? Here. Here. All right, first thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. These came out last week, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at these and see if there's any additions or corrections that need to be made. I didn't see any, but someone's probably got a sharper eye than me. If there are no additions or corrections, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes of December. Okay, Mitch makes a motion to approve the December Planning Commission minutes. Do I have a second? Second by David Thomas. Any questions or anything about them? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. We have accepted the minutes for last month's meeting. We will now go on down on our agenda to new business. First is a rezoning request by Joanne Adams. This is for 1.92 acres from A1 to R1, and this is on Sleepy Hollow Road, which is located in the 7th Civil District. And what they want to do is to bring a non-conforming lot up to a conforming lot.
This button right here.
There you go.
The Adams have a lot that exists out on Sleepy Hollow Road that has existed for at least since the early 50s. I pulled our old file. We surveyed it for them back in the early 90s when they were splitting up some stuff among the family. This is part of old, well, I know Mr. Raz used to live across the road there, and some of his stuff and his family. And anyway, if they'd I guess at that time, they didn't think about putting down a recorded planning plat. It would have matched zoning at that time. It would have been, at that time, the minimum lot was 1 acre. So we're trying to put down an actual signed recorded plat so the Adams can sell this. And so to do that, the current agricultural zone minimum is 3 acres. And so we're looking to move to R1. R2 sets behind it, but excuse me, we don't need that. We just need R1 is sufficient for what we're needing. So be glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim. So basically what you've got is a lot that's been in this family for quite some time, and they're wanting to zone it to where they can actually do something with it. Of course, as we know, on any rezoning, we have 3 choices. We can send it to the Trousdale County Commission with a favorable rating or favorable recommendation from us, a negative recommendation, or we can just send it to them. Discussion. Mr. Thomas?
So the plat drawing that Jim gave us has 2 lots on it. We're only concerned with the one on the south side of Sleepy Hollow, correct?
The 1.9. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think at that time, the Adams family, back in the early 90s, I think the Adams family owned that. And as you can see, it says lot number 4. I think they own 1 or 2 tracks on down Sleepy Hollow there. The track north of the road right there isn't even in the family. It's already got a house on it. It's not in the family's ownership at the moment. So I was just giving you that as an exhibit of what we did back in the nineties to just show you the shape and what lot we're actually dealing with.
This 1.91 acres does have considerable road frontage and stuff, so. Any other questions before we go to Ms. Rose Lee? Ms. Rose Lee?
Hey, if you would look at the zoning map that I had included in your packet, and you can see what Jim was talking about, that there is a lot of A1 surrounding this property. But if you recall, we do have that swath of R3 that is, there are two different parcels right there. Those were rezoned R3 and they were annexed into the city limits. But now, that was back many, many years ago. The R1 would be supported. There are R1s further on down the road, but just not adjoining these parcels. Oh, and just to let you know, it does have city water, but it does not have sewer. So it will need to have a septic system.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Rose Lee? Okay, Jerry?
Okay, yeah, I didn't really have any real issues with that. I just had two comments, and one was obviously the applicant's name is different than the owner's name. I don't know if they've submitted some type of authorized agency. Sounds like Rosalie is saying yes, so sounds like that's taken care of. And I just made that comment that it's the only R1 parcel in the area, but you know, there are higher zoning districts right there, so no real issues from my standpoint.
Okay. Of course, they are asking to rezone this to our most restricted zone. Anybody have any questions for Jared? Discussion? Motions? Mr. Thomas?
I'd like to make a motion to send this to the full commission with a favorable approval.
Have a motion by Mr. Thomas to send this to the Trousdale County Commission with a favorable recommendation. Mr. Noller? Have a second by Mr. Noller. Any other questions and or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Matter does pass. So it will go to the commission. I assume that they're, will it be on for January?
Yes.
Okay. Not that I care, I just wondered. Next on our agenda is a site plan amendment. And this is a request by ARC. They would like to add some additional building, I guess some additional buildings to their site plan. This is located at 200 Smith Way. In case you don't know, that's out in the, I guess our only industrial park now, where the prison happens to be located. They're not too far from the prison. No, you're good. Please state your name so the secretary can get it down and then tell us what you'd like to do, please, sir.
All right, my name is Michael Nesbitt. I work for Boughton Engineering out of Cookeville, Tennessee. We're very familiar with this property, but I am here representing Boughton Engineering. I was actually on the board of Tennessee Central at one time, so I'm very familiar with this property. But there's a new building being built on this property, and what this is a site plan that has been revised. And the way I understood it, I'm here for my boss, Mr. Gary Boughton. He's in North Carolina with all the damage out there. We do a lot of inspections for insurance companies, and he's out there doing about 9 inspections. So he asked me to come. So don't ask any hard questions. You can keep from it. But I understand there's a new road that has been added, and I told Rosalie also that the sizes of the water lines, sewer lines, and things like that are there. And this is a flow code building, and Mr. Angel is here with me tonight also, that he can speak to the details of it. but I'll entertain any questions, be glad to.
Anybody have any questions for Michael?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one other item to add.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bowden wanted me to make sure that y'all knew that the design and plans have been submitted to the fire marshal's office. They will come back, and when they do, we'll submit those to Rosalie also.
Is this job better than being a county mayor?
A lot better.
A lot
You
less
didn't
headache.
have to
I would
mention I used to be the county mayor. Have somebody like throw rocks at me.
I would think so. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Nesbitt?
I
In case
do.
you don't know, he was the county mayor of Smith County for a long time. Heather?
I've got a question. Are you aware of the covenants with the quitclaim deed for the TVA property and its usage with floodplains?
Well, since I served on the board, I'm somewhat, of the Tennessee Central, somewhat, familiar with those. Of course, ARC's been there for some time and evidently they meet those covenants already. But there may be something I'm not aware of. Mr. Angel may can address that more than I can.
I'm interested to find out if you've received any information from Charlie Lyons or the board regarding the latest acknowledgement of any usage on floodplains or adjacent to the TVA property.
Not myself. Richard, do you have anything?
Please come up here if you don't mind. State your name also so the secretary can get it down.
I'm Richard Angel. I'm the quality manager there, and I've pretty much been overseeing this whole project, so. Yeah, we got a, letter written from, charting them from their lawyer, went to our, company. It's release and hold harmless indemnity agreement. I have that here, and it's signed by both attorneys. You can need it.
When was it dated?
It is dated October 31st, 2024. We brought someone on board that was representing TBA. They all came at the same time, but I don't recall the name.
Any other questions for either of these gentlemen? David?
Yeah, I'm curious to know, what is a flow coat facility?
What?
A flow coat facility?
I'm sure they can explain that.
So this, we make propellant there for the automotive airbag industry. We provide it to our sister plants in China and in Greece and Macedonia. We did have a plant in Morgantown, but it's not there anymore. Basically, we're bringing that technology back from China for the flow coat. It's just another way to make the propellant. It will also be a research and development building for our Knoxville Engineering Group. Our main headquarters is in Knoxville. So it's 7 explosive controlled bays and 2 or 3 utility rooms on it. So it's basically what it is. So we can answer any questions you want, first detail we have in the drawing. So.
Any more questions, David?
Probably, but I don't know enough to ask them.
Well, I like the thought of anything that's coming back from China to our country. I
Yeah.
think that's a very good thing.
We plan to expand a couple other buildings there too. So they're all in the works right now, so.
Okay. Other questions? Heather?
So so just to let you know, there was a letter received by Anna J. Hawley, who's Senior Program Manager, Portfolio Land and Real Property for the Policy and Strategic Real Estate and Governance with TVA. They've sent a letter to Charlie Lyons in regards to the Hartsville Nuclear Plant Reservation, Trousdale and Smith County, Tennessee. So I would like to ask, is this something that we could make a recommendation? Would we consider making a recommendation pending that this would be approved through this cease and assist letter on anything that's on any new developments?
My question would be, what's TVA got to do with land they've already given away?
There's a and that was my question, and it stated that there was a quitclaim deed that was with a special warranty when they offered the property to Four Lakes. And if it has to, their goal from what it reads is, the preservation of the Clean Water Act. They want to make sure that they're not hindering the river. And if they are doing anything in the floodplains, that it's preserving their original plan and scope. And so I'm not wanting to delay this gentleman any process whatsoever. I'd like to make a recommendation that we, if this is, am I able to make a motion?
Sure.
To move forward on the event that we can, on the contingency that it is approved with the TVA. I'm trying to think.
Endorsement or recommendation?
Recommendation, yeah. Because this was received December 16th. That's why I asked the date.
So you're, if I understand you right, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying TVA made Charlie, who's in charge of Tennessee Central, aware of this on the date that you're,
And there's not been a new board meeting since this letter's been received. So I.
are y'all aware of, are
hoped I
y'all
at
even
least-
aware of what she's talking about?
I'm
No. We had some people, like I say, come from TVA. We were trying to get grants also from the state of
Mhm.
Tennessee and all that. They've been through there, and I've got a bunch of other letters. So I don't have that one, any of that with me. But I don't know, we'll have to get up to Charlie. And
Yeah, I just wanna, I think on the contingency that it is
I would s-
not breaching the agreement with TVA. Would that be a good way to say the motion? For Four Lakes, because since Four Lakes is actually the property.
Sounds like
owner.
since they had received a letter from TVA and they have not had a board meeting since that letter was received. And Charlie obviously has not made y'all aware of any changes or anything. David, you work out there. Are you aware of any of this?
Well, what I was gonna say is, this is on property that's already got a buildings on that, ARC owns. I mean, are been working on. It's in a fenced-in area. There ain't no changes. They ain't going outside the area to where it would be.
Did
Well,
I
they're
read
not,
that
they're
it's on
not
floodplain?
taking on any
It's on
more
floodplain
land.
Property though?
This-
It's not? Then you're confirmed good.
I'm sorry, Heather.
Because this is in reference to the floodplain. You know about this letter?
I'm right on that.
Yeah, so this particular site, I believe is S5, on the drawing already.
Can
Was
you-
pre-approved site. We
like
just
to-
put it never had a building on that. There was like 7 or 8 different sites.
They're,
Also, all of our wastewater is carried out through a company. We don't dump
Right.
anything in the river.
And y'all have owned this site since y'all been out there.
2016, I think.
Okay.
They lease the site.
Right, from.
right, and there's,
Right.
they've presented to the board before. He came to the board meeting and he discussed his proposal. He proposed his project to the board of Tennessee Central, which is also known in here as Four Lakes, as the property owner. With that, we just need to, make sure that TCEA and Four Lakes simultaneously are not in breach of anything of their covenants described in the attached special warranty and quitclaim deed for the property that has anything to do with floodplains. But you don't have any floodplain property, right?
That is correct. The
Okay, if
property
there's
that
not
they
any
have is
floodplain
not in
property,
Flood zone.
then I would, 100-year flood, then I would definitely make the recommendation, but just make sure that they check with Charlie and that they have it.
So they're not in any floodplain. Miss Rosalie, let's go to you right quick. and
Thank
maybe
you.
can-
So in looking in TN Property Viewer that also has the FEMA floodplain maps on here, this property is not in any type of flood zone. The site plans that I had in my office did not show that this building was listed on that site plan. Thus, when they were talking to me about it, I said that they would need to come forward and bring us a new site plan because they are going to be adding an additional road to get to this locator. As far as anything dealing with DC, I had received an email from Charlie Lyons saying that they would be able to do this building. So we moved forward with that. But given the information that I think that we've received, I would recommend, yeah, that. Don't see a looking page versus a map and parcel, so I don't have that. I didn't have that here this afternoon when I looked at this to confirm. But I know that they are, I believe that they were presented very well. And, since then, of course, we have maybe a better credential.
Okay. Okay, so, okay, before we discuss it anymore, I'd like to hear from Jared. Jared?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to it. I mean, this is the first I've seen of the project. I received it this morning to review and didn't actually look at it until this afternoon. So to be honest, you know, what I put in my review is basically I didn't have sufficient time to review it. I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive set of drawings. I don't even know what, I mean, I know that the project has been reviewed in the past. I don't know what was used to review it against. I know we don't, according to what I can find, I don't see any site plan regs that we have in the ordinances. I know the closest I can find was a plot plan. I don't know anything about some of the regulations, the distances with explosive materials. There's just a lot of missing pieces for me to be able to review it, and I didn't have sufficient time to really dig in and
Okay.
even formulate questions.
I
So
understand.
that's kind of where I stand with it.
Okay.
Given the information that this building would be classified as H1, the State Fire Marshal Office sets all those different boundaries according to the IBC as far as the distances from other buildings, whether or not they have to have a berm and things of that nature. What you have here is a copy of what a partial, because it also included engineered drawings of the building, the construction plans and everything else like that, which is not really germane to a site plan, but would be for permitting processes. So what we also, just for your own information, if you look at what I had included from the TN property viewer, I kind of circled in yellow where they're wanting to place this with a red arrow. Again, the different site plans that I had in my office did not necessarily show a large building in that area, which is why I said that they would need to come forward and get that approved as well.
Okay.
Can I speak real quick?
Sure.
So, you see two roads up to that building. The first road to the, left of that was the prior road up to a mag we moved. They had S5, that's what we've been going by, but we're bringing a different road in because it's just too steep now where we leveled it. So we're building a new road so they won't be on an embankment on a tow motor, so. But it's going to the same location of where it was
So
before.
you're building a road that would be more level,
Yeah, yeah, because.
just better access.
Yeah, the lot wasn't real level when you put that large of site on it, so it's just too steep to bring a tow motor up, so. If that makes sense.
The required, Mr. Chairman, the required footage, that's what Mr. Boughton went by, what the required footage was from other buildings. And also to that berm, you'll see a berm there to the left. And so to address whoever's question was about proper distance, we've adhered to that.
And I've also got the distances are on the drawing. I've got that in a PowerPoint too, if somebody wants it.
I don't think the question is necessarily about the building and all that stuff. I think it's more about the notification with TVA and Tennessee Central. Am I right, Heather?
With any type of H building which is considered hazardous, it all has to go through the state fire marshal's office.
And of course, the fire marshal will have them make any corrections. It's, most of us know that's ever been involved in anything that, you know, has to go through them. You don't have much choice. You're gonna do it or not build. Because they have to approve everything that the school system does. Period. Which is my experience with them. Mr. Thomas?
So my understanding is they're just bringing this before us just for a site plan approval. Am I
That's
correct?
a site plan amendment is
So-
what's in is that accurate?
That is correct because they are altering the original site plan.
So they're amending their original site plan to include this new building and road and everything.
So that's all what we're considering, correct? I mean, whether they can build there or not is between them, Four Lakes and TVA. That has nothing to do with us. So based on that, I would make a motion to.
We've already
approve
got a
this.
motion on the floor.
Did-
Heather made a motion already.
Oh, then I'll second her motion.
Okay, now. So you're seconding her motion, which is different from what you were just about to. Okay. So I'm going to try to restate Heather's motion. If I get it wrong, please let me know. But I think Heather is making a motion that we go ahead and approve this pending approval from TVA and Tennessee Central's board and stuff as pertaining to the information in the letter that they. Okay. And so for them to be able to, they would just need to get that information and get it to Rosalie. And Rosalie would see it, everything's in good shape. And then it would be approved. Is that, what, do I understand that correctly? So that's our motion, and Mr. Thomas has seconded. Discussion or Cal?
I'm gonna recuse myself from this vote due to my relationship with Mr. Angel.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Anything else? All right. Do we understand what we're voting on? If you don't, raise your hand and we'll try to clear it up. Sir?
I don't know if I can answer a question. or not.
Sure.
So, our goal is to have this building up in April. So what do we need to do to get with?
According to
TV?
what I've restated from her motion is, all y'all would need to do is have Charlie and present some evidence from, that the board is aware of the concerns that Ms. Bay has raised with their relationship with TVA, that they're not breaking any covenants that TVA has put in their agreements with Tennessee Central. And get that information to Ms. Rosalie, and as soon as that's done and she has a moment to look at it and see that everything's correct, you're good to go. It doesn't have to come back here.
Okay. Thank you.
Seemed to be a couple of things in there, but floodwater was the 100-year floodplain was part of that. And then, of course, wastewater, but if they've cleared that up, they don't have any wastewater. They ship it all off site. So it should be relatively simple to clear up this week, actually.
One more question. Can we get a copy of that letter that you have? All right, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? She's going to forward it to Rosalie, and Rosalie will forward it to you. Is that okay? And Michael. All right. Are we ready for the question? We understand what we're voting on? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. So it is unanimous with one abstention. Mr. Welch. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Nesbitt, good to see you again, buddy. Okay. Next up on our agenda is a sketch plat. This is for a 10-lot subdivision on 9.72 acres. And this is out on Thompson Lane and McMurray Boulevard. This is land that has been in the Thompson family for forever, pretty much.
Yeah, so the Thompsons are looking at dividing this land, like you said, it's been in their family for a long, long time. And, I believe it's pretty straightforward. If anybody needs a big copy, I'll be glad to hand it to you. Be glad to try to answer any questions you might have.
Y'all know where we're talking about, right there beside the trade school. My uncle's house is right there where it says Kerr on the thing there. That's my uncle's house and property. And, but it happens to be in the name of me and my wife and my son for, inheritance reasons. But it's his property and it's the land, I think there, a couple of lots there on McMurray, and then you turn down Thompson Lane and the rest of the lots would be down on Thompson Lane. If we all know where we're talking about now. Anybody have a question for Jim? If not, then we'll go to Rosalie. Okay, Ms. Rosalie?
So I noticed on the plat here, Jim, that Thompson Lane is depicted as a 2-lane road. Is that correct? Or is it just 1 lane?
No, I will. This is just normally the way I draw it. It's just showing a center line down through there. I mean, I haven't actually.
I think most people would think Thompson Lane's been a 2-lane road.
I would say it's a 2-lane
Forever.
road, but
I would classify it as a 2-lane fixer-upper.
I don't know that I've driven down through there here lately and met another car, so I couldn't accurately, answer your question specifically.
I would say that as far as the road department, I believe, have you asked, oh, there he is. You just the man. I didn't see you back there. I can't see that far anymore. Is it what about that road? Well, that should lead me to the question then, since the Thompsons are the ones wanting to develop it, would you think they'd be willing to donate some land to widen the road?
Well, it's probably already setting there via this plat. This already has a full 25 feet of dedication down through there on that side. In other words, the actual boundary line is a lot further off the road than you might think just driving out there. So I'm saying that's already sitting there via the plat.
So you think there's 25 feet from the center of the road?
Yes, sir. That's what this.
Of that 14 foot?
That's
So
exactly right. Yes.
So I believe he said it was 14
18
foot.
foot. So there's another 18 foot off if there's a 7 foot, there's another 18 foot setting off the edge of the pavement right now. If the number's correct. Yes, sir.
Bill, would that be sufficient to? Okay, so Jim's saying that's already there. And so I understand. Yeah, that's what I would.
No, I wouldn't have thought so, but when my guys got out there and actually started finding the markers and stuff, they're 10 or 12 feet out in the pasture out there on the other side of the fence, so.
They go around to here. I mean, all right, you come down Thompson Lane, you got the curve here, then you got to go up the road. Yeah, you got the little road that goes up to Circle Drive.
Well, it would, it would go right to the, yeah,
Yeah, that's the round path where that cut across road is there. Right there.
to the rest of Thompson Lane, actually. Well, now, we're not saying there's a road expansion, Ms. Nolly. It's up to Mr. Scruggs. That would be a road department decision. Am I correct on that, Bill? Yeah. And we can't say that he has to, widen the road. That's the prerogative of his department. But I would think if you've got 10, oh, well, 8 new houses down through there with what the other is, I would say it's something he'd look at strongly in the future. But I'm not trying to speak for him. Okay, well, that's it's about as good a answer as you can get, Mr. Noller. Well, everything's gonna end. They can sit and wait. I do. That's true. That's true. And sometimes you have to do some creative driving, depending on what time of day, especially morning, that you want to exit that area. Well, you can dodge them while you're out walking. Mr. Thomas?
So this goes to a conversation I've been having with Rosalie from the codes and zoning side of things as we're looking at this, the development, looking at our infrastructure and do we have infrastructure in place? What needs to be changed to meet some of these projects? With this one here, with that only being 14-foot wide, I mean, it does make it hard. You already have houses on there. You add 10 more to it. You're really creating a 2-lane road situation. So there's an infrastructure issue, it looks like, to add this project. Could we not make a motion to hold this project until that was rectified? Or they need to do the donating of the property first?
Well, according to Jim, the land's already there. They don't have to donate anything.
And I don't have it with me. I'm sorry about that. I should have brought my file with me. This is already a recorded plat, I'm gonna say from back in the 90s. So this land, the land's already been designated. The county has this land. It's already sitting there and has been sitting there for a long time. They just never.
There's never been a need.
There's never
for
been
it
a need
without-
or a thought to do it, but no, this is actually a one lot. I think your uncle's house was the other lot. And I think it was back in the 90s. This is actually a subdivision of a re-subdivision of a lot of a recorded plat that exists
I think that's
already.
what they did back when my aunt and uncle bought that. They just went ahead and did all this other at the same time and donate,
So at
all that's on there.
at that time, they dedicated 25 foot off the middle of the road on that side. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been sitting there for years and years.
So I guess my question is, do we get the infrastructure in place first, or do we create the need for the infrastructure first? From a planning standpoint?
Well, according to Mr. Scruggs, who he just said that if the houses are built down through there, he's gonna take care of the issue. I don't, as far as this body's concerned, now, you that are on the county commission may want to have a discussion with Mr. Scruggs about which comes first, the chicken or the egg. But, as far as what we're here for, I'm not sure I mean, it's not that it's a bad question. I think we're going to, as we continue to grow, that's going to be a continuous question in the future. And Bill, I appreciate you being here, to answer these questions and stuff. And, of course, Bill has to sign off on all these plats and everything. And, sure that he looks at them and sees what the conditions are and stuff, as we do that before he puts his signature on there. That's why we have the signatures that have to be required so that each department, water, road, whatever, is aware of what's coming in that area. And, you would base your, future projects on where the growth is.
Yes, there'll be this is, just a rough sketch
Yeah.
plat. There'll be a preliminary and a final come in the next few months, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's up in that field.
It's up in the 25
It's not?
area, I'm saying.
No, the sewer line's out the middle of the road. There's manholes down through there every
Oh, okay.
200 or 300 feet.
Oh, I was thinking of my uncle's sewer lot.
Oh, okay, you talking about your uncle's sewer
Now,
line.
there is a right of way. The Thompsons gave him permission to run a line down through their property to the sewer. So it'd be gravity flow down through there.
Okay, well, I will have to check into that. I'm not saying.
I'm glad we
just to make
discussed
sure
that.
make sure that we
Because
can
that-
find
that-
that and represent that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, we've located, the sewer lines are generally in the middle of the road, in the middle of Thompson Lane, all the way down through there.
That's why I thought it was in the field, because I knew that's where he ran his. Tommy gave him permission for that a few years ago.
That's no problem. I just want to make sure that if we've got
He was on a pump.
a private
He was on
line,
a
we need
pump,
to
having to
protect
pump
that.
it up to the road, and that wasn't working real well.
Yeah.
So they gave him permission to, I can't tell you how many years ago, but it's only been like probably 4, 5, 6.
Good. I hope they recorded something so I can find
Oh, about that.
it.
You'll have to ask the DA about that. David.
So then, one question for Mr. Scruggs, does he have the budget this year, to do this project?
Mr.
We'll do a 20-foot paved road, then you have a 2-foot shoulder, then you have a ditch line, so, yeah, it won't be that bad.
It's gonna be a pretty nice road. Yeah, sounds good. Might have to get a pavement breaker out or something. Okay. According to Jim and I have faith in Jim. He knows that stuff. You already got the land, so. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, sir. We've never gone to Rosalie. They keep getting me off track here.
So, looking at this, I know this is just a sketch plat, but the next one that you're gonna be bringing in, the preliminary, you're gonna have all the easements marked, you're gonna have all the different.
Yes,
water
yes, we'll have all the utilities, all the easements that we can find, hopefully. Everything that we know about will be marked on the preliminary as soon as we get it turned in to you.
Are we also going to look at possibly seeing where they have a fire hydrant and things? of that
Yes,
nature
yes,
and
like I
the
said,
stuff?
all the utilities will be on the preliminary plat when it comes to you.
I noticed here on lot number 4, you do have a house listed. I know that's a small house. It's very close to the road, so with the right of way that Mr. Scruggs is going to use, is that going to put that house in jeopardy, and what are the plans?
Okay, no, so the actual line that you see on your plat is already sufficient right away for what we've discussed. Okay, so there won't be any movement of that. Now, that old existing house may still not meet setbacks or something like that, but once again, that's not anything I can do about that at this time. Now, if they ever tear it down, they'll have to meet setbacks to put back something. I can't answer that. Last time when I spoke to Dad, last he knew there was. I don't know that there
That's
is
the old Woody
currently.
Crook House. That's where
Yeah,
they lived
mhm,
for
yeah.
years. I don't know if anybody lived in there after.
I don't have any idea if anybody's currently living in there. Well, if they bulldoze the house, it won't be an issue and it won't be on the plat.
They definitely need to be looking then. Okay. Rosalie, were you finished or just getting started, I think, weren't you?
Well, with other subdivisions that we do have in the county with this multiple, are we looking at sidewalks or anything else like that?
No, ma'am, because we're not putting in, this is off of existing infrastructure. We're not putting in any new roads or anything, so that would not be a part of this.
So I have, thank you.
Jerry?
Okay, so, if this is on file, Rosalie, that will suffice, but, again, applicant different than the landowner, so if there's any authorized agency that's floating around. Questions about the plat itself, I know we talked about right of ways, so just if there's any right of ways or easements, those need to be noted on the plat. I didn't know if there's gonna be any phasing, I know there's 10 units, is this gonna be one? Okay. None of that, and then, one of the requirements is to have the name of the owner on the plan, I don't see it anywhere.
I'm not sure exactly what you're looking at.
Up there at the top.
That is.
Okay, I just read it differently in the
Okay.
paperwork, not showing a trust on here, but,
Okay. That's actually who's over the.
okay, and then, one question I can't determine by looking at it, because I don't see the dimensions, but I know there is a,
Sketch plan, it just has to meet all the requirements, they're at least 100 foot wide and way over the 12,000 foot required minimum size.
it's just the, I had a question about the 1 to 5 width to depth ratio.
That would not be an issue. I've done check to make sure that they fit that, and we'll have dimensions on all those, the preliminary plat as soon as we get in.
Perfect.
It will meet all of it.
If they set an auction date,
But I do think.
maybe I'm asking the wrong Carmen.
Having, 18 Johnson out of that,
Really?
but I haven't been told the option.
Okay, okay. I was actually asking because I know my uncle would be interested in knowing.
So you know who Uncle needs to go to if he wants to get his stuff
Uh,
there before.
He's too busy basking in the 80 degrees of Winter Haven, Florida this winter. And I don't blame him. All right, guys, anybody have any questions for Rosalie or Jerry? Discussion? Again, as Jim has pointed out, this is a sketch plat. He'll have to come back with a preliminary and a final. And we'll have all that on there. And I'm glad we had this discussion so you can find out about that right away with his sewer line and stuff. Motions? Ms.
Make a-
Welch,
Make a motion to approve.
have a motion by Mr. Welch to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Heather. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass. Thank you, Jim. Bill, like I said, appreciate you being here. You're welcome every month.
And I'd like to say the postpone these discussions.
Okay. So that's all that we're going to have on our agenda to discuss tonight, unless anybody from the committee has something. Yes, ma'am?
I just have a question. Is there a way on the applications that there can be like a checkbox that says that that person has permission to like request those rezonings? Cause I know Jarrett keeps bringing it up like almost with every one, just for him to know you've already done it and stuff like that. Is
Probably
that
not a
something that
bad
can be
idea.
added?
Just have a checkbox.
That's a great idea, and I will get with iWork and have them put that on there so that it'll be like a verifying check that everybody knows. I mean, I can see it in the spreadsheet, you know, that I have the permitting software, but you don't have visibility to that, so it'll just make it easier for everybody.
Good job, Shug.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Or yes, sir, Mr. Thomas?
Just wanted to share with the committee that, we have just started discussing in codes and zoning a PUD zoning. So that would be plan-based zoning. We're working on that, and when I have a finished copy of that to present, just for this body to review and to give their blessing or not.
And
it would-
Rosalie gave us information on that at the December meeting to take home, and I looked at, hopefully y'all have looked at it too.
So far what we did was we had Rick take Cheatham counties and then make it Trousdale appropriate. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now. That's what we all agreed on. Just wanted to get that final copy so that you can see how it's gonna look and kind of how that's gonna go. I think that would take a lot of the risk from some of these open rezonings that we've been doing, especially the R3s, so that we don't have another Melrose issue come before us. I was, in talking with, Rick, I was under the impression originally that, you know, if they, you know, come, they get the PUD zoning and that's good to go, and then they decide to sell it, well, it would revert automatically, and that's not true. What this would create is its own zoning. So it wouldn't be an R1 and R2, or it would be a PUD. And so that would be its own classification. And so if another purchaser of that property didn't like the PUD that was set up, they would have to come back and either get an amendment to it or ask for another rezoning or create another PUD themselves. So it doesn't eliminate anything. It just creates a new category to give the county more protection on what's getting put in some of these lots.
I think the main part that you said there was it's a new zoning area of zoning. And we're gonna probably get into more of these especially as the new road gets built. And I know there's an area here in town that's maybe looking at that, but we can't look at it as a project-specific thing. It's something add as a zoning regulation to the county for the future. That one project would have to stand on its own, good or bad, as any other project would have in any zone.
Yeah, so that, we're just using that as the example, and that's what got this process initiated.
Right.
But yes, because the particular project that is being considered now is just a residential, but this also includes residential and commercial mixed use, which we haven't had except for in C1 in the urban, which is just around here. But this would allow that to actually be put out, like you said, as the new road comes through, all that R2 property, they could throw some commercial into that and make some really nice developments on that property as a plan, which that process would be, they would bring, as they brought their rezoning request to us, it would also have a site plan coming with it.
It might also
All the
be
preliminary.
easier to get more infrastructure designated, more infrastructure grants and things like that for water and sewage and the road will be there. I'm speaking about land around the new road, you know, it might facilitate more money coming in to be able to provide for things like that.
And something else we're gonna be looking at, as I've talked with Rosalie, you know, we've had all this prime development happen in the last couple of years. So a lot of our good land for developing has been bought up and been developed. Now we're kind of left with the leftovers, the real rocky, steep elevation stuff that we don't really have regulations for as far as water runoff and building requirements on that rougher land that Rosalie's kind of having to piece together from state and federal to try to help with some of the water runoff issues. That's something that we're going to be looking at in codes and zoning, and I'd like any help from this body that we could have on that to come up with some quality health regulations on that. It really gets rough on landowners when you start having people building above you and no one's enforcing water runoff on down.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would
I
you?
know a little bit about it, and so I'm trying to help anyone else in the future to avoid some of the issues that my neighborhood's had to deal with.
Well, we do have more prime land. My cousins and I have about 140 acres that I talk to anybody about, now that they've outvoted me and decided to sell it. I was the only no vote, but, that's another story. Does anybody else have anything to come before this body tonight?
I'd also like to say that, looking towards working, when someone brings a development in, to have a feasibility or viability checklist where they would go ahead and say, yes, I've talked with the water department. Yes, they do have this available, utilities. Yes, they do have this available, so that when they come and present it to the first time, you already know what is available for us to be able to make good decisions on.
And hopefully at the next county commission meeting, have y'all got y'all's agenda? Did I? Not yet. But the mayor and I interviewed, people for the position of a building inspector. And, I recommended Rosalie was my recommendation to the mayor. And he had said something to me about coming to the January meeting. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the time when he makes his decision as to how he's going to do that. He asked me to come. So hopefully after that meeting, we will have a full-time building inspector, or code, that position, filled, and then would be able to, fill Rosalie's old position, and get the office up to full strength and moving on even better. So hopefully that'll happen. Just wanted to let y'all know what's been going on. All right. If nobody else has anything, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Mr. Noller makes a motion to adjourn. Moose has seconded it. Y'all be safe on them steps out front.